Guten Abend. Meine Rolle, ich bin Benedikt Savoy, besteht lediglich darin, alle willkommen zu heißen. Und ich darf aber einen Satz hinzufügen, nämlich, dass es unfassbar ist, dass aus unseren KuK Tuesdays jetzt sowas wie Cooking Tuesdays geworden ist und dass nach der künstlerischen Forschung auch die kulinarische Forschung in die Uni einziehen. Ist ein sehr gutes Gefühl. Früher war hier ein Restaurant der TU, Café Campus. Und Orte haben auch ihr Wille. Und der Wille des Ortes war, dass wir wieder zu etwas werden, was nicht nur durch den Kopf und die Augen und die Ohren geht, sondern durch andere Sinne. Damit übergebe ich sofort, und es geht weiter auf Englisch, an Lee.
Thank you, Benedict, for the introduction. Welcome, everyone. I am Lee. I am the curator of this event series, KuK Tuesdays, Dislocation, and I am so happy to see that we sparked a lot of interest in so many people. So today's session is a very experimental one, and a session that we, Freya and I, Freya Schwachenwald is the other curator of this event series, and we will show you a short video of her greeting you and introduce us into the session together in a little bit. And I just wanted to say I'm so happy to see you, and I'm so happy to greet our panelists. The cooks from Thai Park. I am so grateful. Yes. And so, without further ado, I would just show you what Freya has to say.
Welcome. My name is Freya Schwachenwald. I am one of the co-curators, together with Zilio Huang, of the event series KuK Tuesdays this year. And I'm very happy that I can all welcome you this way to tonight's event, KuK Tuesdays Dislocation, Tasting Decoloniality. The topic or the idea to talk about food came up very early in Lise and my discussions about what we wanted to do with this event series, KuK Tuesdays. Because in the beginning, we really sat together and thought about what does dislocation, this term, mean to us. And it's a very vague term in many ways. But if we think about the dislocation of objects, which is obviously what we're doing at the Research Institute here, we also started thinking about what else moves except objects. And obviously that is humans. They move with objects and without. Sometimes objects are more mobile than humans and the other way around. And yet these histories and movements are connected, as we believe. And of course, there is more that moves if humans are moving, and that is knowledge, that is food, that is knowledge about food, and that is also the very special role that food plays in as an object or as a practice of community making. And so we thought it would be really worthwhile, while we have this time to organize the KuK Tuesdays, to think about what does food mean in the context of dislocation, and how does it connect to all the other stories and histories that are resolving about the voluntary and involuntary movement of objects and things. So I'm really excited that it actually worked out and that we're having this evening tonight talking about this topic. It is a very special evening and a bit different from the other KuK Tuesdays that we've had so far, as those who have been to KuK Tuesdays earlier might have noticed already. And I'm really glad that you all came to dare this experiment of rethinking what dislocation means, to rethink the way through which we gather knowledge, we create knowledge, and we create communities. And I hope you have a great evening. Enjoy talking about food, enjoy eating food, and just have a great time thinking and gathering and talking about food and its many meanings and practices. Enjoy.
So that was Freya, who's in sunny San Francisco right now in Stanford. Before I introduce our wonderful hosts for tonight, I just wanted to point out that we will be recording for our YouTube and Instagram channel tonight. So if you don't want to be recorded, you can ask for a sticker by my colleague Leah, who's holding the camera, and then we will cut you out or don't even film you. So yes, and now it's time to introduce Pega Birumwand as host for tonight. She is a literary scholar and has been working at the TU Berlin in the joint project Museums and Society, mapping the social since 2021. She studied modern German literature and history at the University of Cologne and wrote her dissertation on unity of difference, hybridity, self-rejection, and relocalization in post-GDR literature at the Westfälische Wilhelms-Universität Münster. As a member of staff for academic communication and participation of the research project, she researches formats that are oriented towards anti-discrimination, diversity, power criticism, or post-migrant perspectives, and implements these in the project in the form of collaboration with a critical advisory board and among other things. So yeah, thank you, Pega, and I will give the floor to you.
Yeah, thank you, Lee and Freya, for organizing this. I'm very happy and very grateful that I'm able to moderate and that you invited me. And yeah, as was said a couple of times today already, today's session is a special one because we are connecting personal, artistic, activist and academic discussions about food with a collective cooking practice by Thai Park Initiative. And yeah, we are connecting also to sensual and somatic experiences of eating food. Therefore, I am particularly happy to welcome the Thai Park here, who understands their cooking practice as a collective, caring and sharing practice. Special thanks to Dai Shirapor and to Thatsawan Tegude. Yes, and of course, we are not just cooking and watching. You will also be able, and you're warmly invited to eat some food. We will have a break later before we open up the panel for the audience, so you can go and grab something to eat. And I think the discussion will be even more fruitful this way. Talking about food may seem personal because we all need to eat to stay alive. The taste and smell of food have the superpower to remind us of people, stories and moments. It can activate knowledge and memories stored in our bodies. Food connects us. This is true for everyone, but particularly important for communities in the diaspora or even exile, and for food that is dislocated and has traveled, as you will see in our panel discussion. But food is not only individual, it's also very political and contested. And inequalities permeate our food systems. Coffee or cacao, for example, and many more are foods heavily shaped by colonialism, by racism and exploitation. Food colonialism, as pointed out by the nutritionist Brianne Brathwaite, is still affecting marginalized and especially Black and brown communities, perpetuating inequalities and injustice. This is visible in the way food is grown and distributed, the access to it, its deprivation, cultural erasure of certain foods, and the exploitative trade with food. The deprivation of food can be even used as a weapon in the context of colonialism and imperialism. Forced starvation is recognized as a war crime, as we can see recently in Israel's war on Gaza, as well as the starvation and famines in Sudan and Congo. In the words of Stephanie Morningstar, co-director of Northeast Farmers of Color Land Trust, Food and growing and preparing our own foods not only reminds us of who we are, but also that we are survivors of historical injustices. Therefore, individual and collective practices, food practices, can be a tool of resistance, care, mutual aid, and community empowerment. This is our topic this evening. And I'm delighted to introduce our speakers to you who will shed more light on food from a personal and political, from an artistic and poetic, activist and collective organizing perspective. We will also discuss the term decoloniality in terms of food and maybe refer to the title in a critical way. Let's see. First of all, I'm very happy to welcome Felon Tiffany Cabral. Felon researches the negotiation of race and racisms in families of Black and POC subjects in Germany. She's especially interested in quirky and strange, often covered traces of post-colonial continuities in everyday diasporic family life. Together with Miriam Shukri, she co-edited the very amazing book Biting Back, Essen, Diaspora und Widerstand last year. A playful volume of essays that combine food with resistant practices and poetics, lived experiences and feminist cultural analysis. You can buy this book in all bookshops in Berlin and also online. It's very tiny and you can read it everywhere. Our next guest is Mon Sisu Satrawaha. Mon, she, they, is a multifaceted filmmaker, artist and curator. Her film practice is integrated with disciplines like installation, food and performance. She led a tasting cinema workshop at Untitled Kaum Film Festival 2023 and Berlin Asia Arts Festival, employing food as a storytelling method. Her research explores diverse societal viewpoints, covering anthropology, intercultural relations, and contemporary culture. Since 2022, Satrawaha has developed the Have You Eaten project, delving into the political nuances of the Thai female diaspora in Germany. Thank you for being here. And last but not least, Noi Patrichat Pai, she, her. She's born and raised in the charming northeast of Thailand, and decided to swap the tropical heat for German precision in 2005. She took up political sciences because she said, why not mix a love for spicy food with a passion for spicy debates, as you will see today. Now, Noi is working at a specialized counseling center against human trafficking and is a volunteer with the Thai Association since 2020. She's helping turn the dream of Thai Park and Poison Park into a reality. From 2021 to April 2024, she also served as a co-president of the Thai Park Association. And now she's also eager to make a very great somtam like Mon. Thank you. You will now listen to 3 inputs by our panelists, starting with Felon. And yeah. Oh, yes, I forgot it. True. I forgot something. We were discussing, because Mon and Felon are going to present also their personal and artistic memories regarding food. And I was thinking to also add mine as a little bridge to the discussion. So yeah, my parents are from Iran and they came to Germany as refugees. And when I was born, immediately after they arrived in Germany, I was a premature baby and very tiny and small and thin. And my father would be very afraid that I won't be strong enough as a child. So he was looking everywhere to find a special recipe that Iranians use to make children stronger. And it's lamb bone marrow, very tasty, but not very common in Germany. So he was trying to find somewhere to find these bones, to give me the marrow, and he exaggerated a little bit. So that I was a very cheeky child in the end. But yeah, he was always criticized by a lot of Germans that you're not supposed to give your child this kind of food. But I'm happy he didn't listen to them. And yeah, this is one of my most famous, best memories I have with my father, because that was his way of caring for me. And now, Fallon, the floor is yours.
Okay. Welcome to tonight's event. Thank you very much for the invitation and for the curation. I wanted to just take you with me into my thoughts. As Pega told, I'm researching how race and racism are negotiated in families of Black and POC in Germany. And during this research, I had the possibility to talk about feminist struggles in families. And I was thinking like, okay, do I have any feminists in my family? I don't know. Maybe not. And then I was thinking, okay, but my mom, she is actually an interesting person who was confronted with children, socialized in Germany, internalizing racism, and saying, oh no, I don't want to eat your food, can you cook something else? And then she cooked something like spaghetti and pizza, and always put her green chilies inside. And during my thinking about family and resistance and colonialism and all these negotiations, I started thinking about food and politics, food and colonialism, and asked myself, okay, why what does my habit of does my internalized racism have to do with what happened 500 years ago? So all my my PhDs consists of interviews and also autoethnographic musings, and here you have a little list of topics and also text I wrote about food, which is actually not the primary topic of my PhD, but it's it emerged and now I'm embracing it. And the first title is a title which is also included in this book, Biting Back. It's called in English, You Become What You Eat, about the desire to become white, and it's exactly about this little story I just teased. And then I wrote something about colonial amnesia and anti-Muslim racism in my family, which you also can see that's also a part of the negotiation of race in my family was around religion and food. We never talked about nationalism or I was not taught any certain language or any certain, we didn't wear certain clothes. It was more about the religion stuff. And and the last is Chilies as Protest. This was the name of the talk. And and on the right side, or on the book you can see is, it's called Religion and Empire in Portuguese India. And my family is from Goa, which was a Portuguese colony for 500 years. And so many things that I encountered in my research, all this quirky, strange and covered ways colonialism has left traces in my becoming and also my everyday family life, is very interesting to see in the light of colonialism. And trying to show you how colonialism actually manifests, or racism or these traces manifest in my everyday life and upbringing, I brought you a poem, and we will read it collectively with the panelists. And Pega and I will begin, and then we will pass the mic. Wait. So it's called Family Food Poem, and it's almost the whole poem, but it's a little bit shortened. So back then,
My friend says.
you smell strange.
My friend says.
Your mom cooks strange food.
My friend says.
Your mom's food smells strange.
My younger self asks.
Why do we always have to eat the strange and boring food?
My younger self says.
I want to eat normal German food like pizza and spaghetti. Today,
My mom tells me.
with fresh green chili, you can always aufpeppen your food.
My friend asks.
Can you cook Indian food?
My mom asks.
What did you eat today instead of how are you?
My mom says.
Our Indian food is so healthy.
My mom says.
Drink cucumber water every morning to prevent a cold.
My aunt says.
With our Indian food, you will stay lean and slim.
My mom says.
I don't know how to cook for vegetarian people.
My mom says.
I'll give you fresh green chilies the next time you come home.
My brother says.
If this is too pungent for you, you don't belong to our family.
My mom says.
You can eat tasty food, even if you run out of money. Just eat rice with pickles.
My mom says.
I don't know how to cook this. Only Hindus cook vegetarian dishes.
The guy on the train says.
I smell curry. Are you from India?
My dad says.
What does he eat everything like us? Also pork?
Thank you. So this poem shows you the spectrum of like different identity constructions that I can find at home, because being colonized for 500 years in Goa meant also like a cultural conversion and also the religious conversion. So I grew up Catholic, Christian, and one way my parents negotiated their cultural identity was about like constructing themselves as we who eat everything, and then constructing the other. Oh yes, but do they eat pork? And it was very important not to be like, I'm saying this as a scientist analyzing my childhood and my family. My parents would never say, yes, I was thinking this when I said this, but I tried to see these everyday traces of colonial violence. And if you think about 500 years ago, Pope Nanana separated the world in two halves, and the Portuguese should colonize this side and the Spanish the other side, and there was this big war against the Muslim empire. So there was the fall of Granada, and Muslims and Jewish populations were forced to convert, and by the Inquisition also followed up, and the Inquisition was also in Goa and persecuted people who converted but who dared to follow their maybe Hindu or Muslim way. And so I guess like some of these sayings that you can see in the poem or that you can hear have also like, it's not like that my parents are so racist or we are so bad people, but it's like very complex and tied to history, and this is like the approach I'm very interested in. And here you can see some ways in which I had the opportunity to think about food, and with my friend Emine Demir, sitting here in front, she also contributed to our book, and we were invited to a podcast on food and belonging, and there was another podcast on family colonialism and resistance, and then there were also several workshops. We did like empowerment workshops for BIPOC who had a space to think about their experiences with racism through food and also connect to empowerment and nurturing and nourishing experiences. And and so this book, Biting Back, exists in a series. We have like also 4 other books which are really interesting, and but this is the only one about food. And I would like to pass the mic to Mon.
Thank you so much, Fallon. To read your poem, I also feel very related. And I also mentioned some of the stuff that maybe is a shared experience to your text as well. Maybe I can start from reading the text as well. I think that's the text distributed around. It's called Somtam Manifesto. At first, I planned to play the sound of cooking at the same time, but I feel like since we already have the experience here and it's fit perfectly, because it's actually the sound of people cooking at Thai Park. And there's some conversation in German, in Thai, and also the sound of papaya salad making. So feel free to be loud. Yes. That is perfect. Let me show you how to make som tam, or green papaya salad, or that funny name that you like to make fun of my poor English, papaya pok pok. First, you have to chop the papaya in 2 pieces. Hold the papaya upright and chop it repeatedly with a knife. If you are not good at it, you can use a shredder. Unfortunately, the green papaya costs 13 euros. So I will mix it with shredded kohlrabi and carrots instead. I put 2 bird's eye chilies in the mortar to spice it up a little bit. I have lost a sense of spiciness since I have been here. It is fine, you do you. Put as much as you want it to be. If you don't eat spicy food, just don't put it in. Don't fret or get excited that I'm eating spicy food. Follow with garlic and pound it together just to have a fragrance from it. Pok, pok, pok. That is the sound of pounding. I cut some tomatoes in. If I have the Hock plum, I would cut some of that as well. It is okay if you don't know some of the ingredients. Just find it on the internet. This is just a salad. You can add whatever you want in. Season it with lime or tamarind juice, palm sugar, MSG, fish sauce, and pla ra. Does it smell that bad to you? I do not apologize for that. Put the mix of green papaya, kohlrabi, and carrot in. Pound the mixture with the sauce. Pok, 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 pok. Oh, you can hear it again later. Exactly. Serve with sticky rice and grilled chicken. Grab the sticky rice and dip it in the som tam sauce. Use your 3 fingers, scooping the papaya to go on top of the rice. Yes, I eat with my hands. Yes, my hands are clean. Do you still want to have the salad? Maybe I can talk a bit about the project. Pega mentioned a bit during the introduction that I started the project called Have You Eaten? That I developed a documentary and video installation, and this is some still from the documentary. And this manifesto is also part of it. And for this project, I focus on the Thai migration in Germany. And when you look to it, most of the people who migrate to Germany, they migrate because of marriage reason. And that's the stigmatization, of Southeast Asian women and European men. And I'm kind of curious about this phenomenon. So I started to do a research about it, but I try to focus more on the politics or the colonial history behind it. And this manifesto is basically kind of like the like a manifestation and also the experience of what people who migrate to another country have to experience. And when I did this project, I choose to focus in Som Tam because when you look into this migration history, most of the people that migrate here, they came from the northeast of Thailand, or we call Isan. And Som Tam is also the dish that come from Isan, and I can see that Som Tam itself can traveling around outside of Thailand and came to Germany and goes all over the world, just like how Thai people migrate as well. And basically, sometimes you don't really need heat to cook. You just need pesto and mortar. And that's why, I think that's why it's so convenient that the food mobile to all over the world. And as you can see, I did this documentary in different Thai communities in Berlin. So there's some shot at Thai Park that they make some salad. And I also went to Thai temple where a group of ladies surrounded the food. That's the food that they brought to the temple to give it to the monk and share among the community. And also Som Tam is one of the food that they brought. And whoops. As I mentioned, it's actually the cheapest green papaya I found, and it's already 13 euros. And back in Thailand, it's like people grow it in the garden, or it's less than €1. So since it's so expensive, so sometimes they would use some other ingredients that they can find, and also like I think with like lots of food that they have to adapt. Like when you're in the new place, you can't really make the authentic. Or that's the question of like, what is the authentic food? And sometimes it's actually very versatile, I would say. There's so many ways of making Som Tam. I'm pretty sure that your recipe and my recipe and their recipe is probably not the same. And you can make Som Tam from like cucumber or rice noodles, from green papaya, from whatever. So actually I got this recipe to use kohlrabi from Facebook group. It's called Thai Housewives in Germany group. And I learned a lot from that group because they would exchange lots of things to substitute, and they recommend kohlrabi and the stem of broccoli. And I'm very interested in that in that exchange and how they find out about this substitution. So actually papaya itself is also not originate from Thailand. If I don't remember it wrong, it also comes from South America, as well as chilies that comes during the colonial time. Maybe as you mentioned a little bit about the chilies, that it comes from South America and it goes along when Columbus went to South America and brought it to Europe. And actually, European people don't really like the chilies and they don't really know how to deal with it. So they brought it to Asia and being like, yeah, we don't really like it, so maybe you guys can try it. And somehow it's very popular in Asia. And it becomes like one of the well-known things about Thai foods is that it's spicy. And sometimes I also have that reputation to have to eat spicy food or something. Like when I go to Thai restaurant with my friends, it's almost like a show that I have to eat spicy food to show them that like, see, I'm Thai, I can handle it, even though like I'm crying inside and outside. Yeah, and green papaya, it used to grow a lot in one road. In Thailand, it's called Mitraphap Road. It's the road that grow across northeast of Thailand. And that road is actually the road that leads to the military base, US military base, that they would go to Vietnam. And that was also the time that the stigmatization of Thai women and white guys started to happen. Yeah, but maybe today I can give you some rough story, but we can discuss about it a bit more. And since they grow a lot of green papaya, so they at that time they grow it because they use it in the gum industry to compete with Indonesia, that they also started to grow a lot of papaya. And since we have a lot, so we started to make the dish of green papaya salad. And it also goes from the northeast to Bangkok. And it becomes like in every corner in Thailand you can find green papaya salad. And to go a little bit more, like I feel like food is something that can bring community, just like in Thai Park and Thai Temple. And I'm sure that you can talk a bit more about the Thai Park. And also part of my documentary, I get to talk with Kun Jum. You get to work with her too, right? And she works at Ban Ying Foundation. It's the foundation that works with Thai and Filipinas women who have to deal with some struggles migrating to Germany. And actually, Kun Jum also teach Thai cooking in Volkshochschule. So I find it's also quite interesting how she like help other people adapt to stay in Germany, and also at the same time introduce our own culture. And maybe you can tell me if it's right or wrong, but I heard the story of like in Ban Ying, they sometimes have the workshop, cooking workshop. But eventually they also not just teach only about cooking, but teach about German everyday life. Because, in this interracial marriage, there's always this sort of power imbalance or some sort of dynamic between the couples. And sometimes the German partner, they don't want the wife to like know about the laws or know about what's going on. And if they mention that like, okay, we have this class about German law, maybe the husband doesn't want the wife to come join. But if they say like, we have German food course, then they will be like, oh, great. Then you get to learn about our food, and then you can cook for us. Then they let them to go join this course, and actually they help teaching other stuff or stuff about German everyday life, and I think it's such a clever strategy, and I like how food can bring people together. Not only just being about community, but it also can be like the strategy to be resistance as well. And also food can give us the sense of nostalgia, especially like I also not originally from Germany, and when I came here, I started to learn how to cook Thai food. I didn't cook Thai food back in Thailand because it's super cheap and it's not necessary. And to cook Thai food or to eat Thai food, it brings me back the memory of home. And yeah, so today is I feel very special, that I feel like I'm back in Thailand and get to talk about this and hearing and smelling. It feels very, very nice. And maybe for now I will pass to Pinoy, and we can talk about Thai Park a bit, since I mentioned a little bit about Thai Park.
Maybe we see the video later. Thank you for invitations. I just realized that Thai Park been invited quite a lot to different occasions, different events. I think we're quite well known somehow. It's not because Thai Park is well known, but I think Thai Park has been in media coverage or been in the news or in Berlin quite a lot in the last months. You know where it is? You been there? Yeah. Thai Park, originally the park is still called Prison Park, not the official name. But it started like in the beginning of the 90s that Thai housewives, Thai women, or women from other Southeast Asian countries like Laos, Cambodia, or Philippines, mainly were Thai. They started meeting up at the Prison Park. They brought their food. They went to see chit-chat, sharing food. At that time, they also start gambling also, sitting in the park and gambling and food, the best you can do. Because it's not possible in Thailand to gambling in open space, have to sneakily doing that. So they start like that, and then some German or those who live in the area, they came and asked, oh, can we try the food? And then they start to, okay, you want to try the food? Then we can sell. And start selling food. And other Thai or other, those who can cook Asian food, they also brought their food and sold as well. So it started like that. So from the picnic to be, the place where you can, until today, picnic and selling food and eating food and meeting. So then it became very well known. It's so well known that at some point it's been annoyed and disturbed. Who's gonna complain about it? So the neighborhood, the German neighbor, they start to complain because at the time you can bring the food and sell. You can set up your stall, your vendor, how you like it. And then people just came and no control, Once it was so popular, then it could be thousands of people on that ground, on the lawn or this on meadow. So it's been a long discussion, and people start complaining, and politicians have been talking about it. And always some people say, oh, maybe they should organize or do something about it. But no one started to do it until in the year of 2018. Can you imagine, from beginning of 90 and they start to do something in 2018. 2018, at that time there was very clear that, along with the discourse about illegality of these vendors, they sold the food, they didn't pay the tax, and how about the hygiene? And then also the idea, some said, what about the space for migrants? What about urban space? Who can use this space? This kind of discussion's been going on until 2018, that the district office of Charlottenburg and Wilmersdorf, at the time the government, that was SPD mainly, they said, okay, let's do something about it, and we should introduce some compromise or any concept that bring people who are interested in going to Thai Park, using Thai Park, selling food, and coming to eat the food there. So that's how they start the public hearing. Ask the actors, actors mean Thai community, authority, or those who live in the area, what the Thai Park should be, or the Preußen Park as a whole, how it should be changed. And then at that time, we all agree that the new concept of Preußen Park must include the market, Thai Park, the market in the Preußen Park. So how it started, and how the Thai Association in Berlin came to play. Because in the announcement of the district, they said, but we need someone who organize and manage this market. The city or the district office not going to do that. We cannot do that. So they announced it, and at that time I heard about this and talked to the vendors and people, and we said, let's try and apply for it, because the Thai community should be the one who's doing it, because we don't want other people to come and manage Thai food, So we organize our people who those already sold the food illegal, and then they want to get themselves legalized in a way. And then we applied it to the district and introduced what we want to do and what our plan is, not only selling food, but we want to introduce also cultural events to that. So it was approved. Our association been selected as a market organizer, and how it start to work. And we got, it's not. I'm not going to call it a license, but we are allowed to manage this market. And this market had a concept. You see before on the meadow that a lot of hundreds of vendors, but in the new space, in the small area of this market, can accommodate only 60 vendors and have to be compliant to hygiene regulation, and those who want to sell food have to apply through association, and the district had to decide where to get the space to sell the food, starting already this German democratic, not democratic bureaucracy. But anyway, so our job at the association was like, we were the one who communicate to the Thai community, communicate to our vendors what they should do, and what the city or district want us to do in the new concept of the market. So we did that. The first season was in 2021. So it was in the pandemic. So it's a lot of work, and none of us who volunteer to work as a committee in the association, none of us have no knowledge about managing association or managing the market, but we want to do it. So we have to do it because we want to do it, and then how it started. So we had the first year was in the pandemic with a lot of restriction, how many people are allowed to be on the market, and how many people we should let in at the same time. It was quite crazy, I would say, but we done it. And a second season, 2022, and we have the full season. It is from April to October. In the year of at that year, we have to start using the recycle and reusable utensil, and you start, if you went at that time, you have to start to pay, for this disposal for €2. If you buy the food there, then you get it back once you return the plate or the thing, or the glasses. So then the year later, 2023, same thing, new concept, until 60 vendors, and we have to organize and let them know when it's open. And then how the recent change happened, because in 23 there was a re-election in February 2023, and then came the new government of the district. So the new government of the district, namely the Green and the CDU, they have, I think one just speculate, but I quite agree with that, because they said, we prefer that the Thai Park move out from the Prison Park. Okay, 5 minutes, yeah. So of course we didn't want that, and we went protesting, and we initiated petitions, and we talked to media, make it pressure, everything. I don't know how many protests we organized already, and petition we gave to already 45,000 signatures who support that the Thai Park have to be in the Prison Park. And I don't know how many times we went to the district to try to talk to politicians, or to go to the meeting of the district assembly to see what the discourse at the moment about the Thai Park. So at the end it didn't work out. The district decided the Thai Park have to move to the street just behind the park. So we were conflicted in our association, because there were no choice for us whether you take it, this option, you move, take it or leave it. And we talk a lot, and we discuss a lot, and see possibility. I myself, I would prefer, so we don't do. We stay protesting. We do nothing. We let everyone sell the food illegally like before. But the other, no, we want a secure working place. We want a secure spot where we can sell food without worrying that someone from Ordnungsamt Public Order Office is going to chase us. So we decided for this option. So the Thai Park going to move to this Württembergische Straße, just the one behind the park, just 1 minute walk. So it's not in the middle of the park, but it's going to be there. So it should be open later by 8th of June. So we're going to keep everyone posted about where we're going to start. And yeah, we have a lot of followers on Instagram. It would be nice if you follow us so that you keep yourself informed. And we have two of my colleagues who are the committees of the Thai Park. They are active there, and they're going to have a meeting with the members right after our panel discussion today to decide whether it's going to open on the second of first เปิดวันที่ 1 หรือวันที่ 8 นะไม่รู้ Okay, I asked her. So it's going to be on the 8th of June, so the opening of the market. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now I would say we will have a very short break so that every one of you can taste this delicious food. I'm smelling it the whole time and I'm sure you do too. So please help yourself, get something to eat and
This is a side with chicken, with hand cheese, and this one is a vegan papaya salad vegan. Chicken, tofu,
ja, guten Appetit. Danke, danke.
Wir hören jetzt richtig einmal.
Ja, ja. Yes, thank you so much. I think I only want to do panel discussions like that in the future. I'm very happy. I hope you're too. Yes, while we are eating, we will discuss a couple of questions and go a bit into detail. And please feel free to ask your questions later as well. This is maybe a question for the whole panel. You can choose who is going to answer first. While I was listening to you and while we had our first chats, I would love to know, like we had this notion of food as subversion. Your mother who is putting the chili in it, like, I'm cooking you German food, but I'm still here with my chili. And also what you've said, Mon, about the classes who were like German cooking classes, but in fact gave legal advice to women, which I love and also know from other communities. And yeah, I would like to ask you, with regard to the title of this session, what are your associations with the notion of cooking and food as a practice? Would you describe it as a decolonial practice from your point of view, or as resistance, or inherited experience? Or would you describe it as something completely different? So can we really talk about tasting decoloniality, and what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I would say that, like, actually in Thailand, we've never been colonized. Even though, like, I mentioned about, like, my project, we look back into the history, and that's the colonial history involved in it. Because I focus on, like, this phenomenon of the stigmatization of Thai women. And to look back, like, why we idealize Europeans is the idea of back when the 19th century, when there's the colonization route around Southeast Asia as well. And in Thailand, we try to modernize the country. So actually the king also came to Europe, and also we accept lots of European custom to be modernized. So back to the question of, like, do I see cooking as the practice? I would say yes. I would call it more like decentralized practice. For example, like when I'm here and I choose to talk about Thai food, And then kind of questions Thai food in Germany or in Europe a bit. And that's the questions to it. Like I mentioned before, like what is authentic? And sometimes when it comes to food, we involve the nationalistic idea a lot to the food. For example, like you can break spaghetti, and there are lots of custom to it, which is, and I'm kind of like going back and forth a bit. Like at some point, I stick to Thai food as to like resist to the custom here. For example, with the smell, some people might find the fish sauce or the fermented fish is quite smelly, and I refuse to not using it just because it's too smelly, or to use garlic and stuff. But at the same time, I also question myself, that like, if I stick into this notion of authentic, did I repeat this discord of like being nationalistic? So maybe that's why I'm interested with the recipes of Thai housewives, that they try to find the things that you can find around here in your own surroundings or in your environment, like to use kohlrabi instead of green papaya. Or there's also another dish that normally you would use, it's called gui sha, it's sort of like dumpling, and normally you would use Chinese chive, but in here they would collect bear lauk to do it. So I think that's also another way to kind of like stay ground on your identity, but at the same time give them, sort of like the notion that like, sorry, I'm like thinking of the word. That's the word of like the non-native, native, and non-native, native. So basically like when you move and you started to questions about like, am I the native when I live here for a while, or I'm still the non-native, but you kind of start create a new identity. Maybe I throw some questions, another questions to it. Yeah. At some point, maybe, I don't know that I answer or not, but I would like to throw another questions to it.
I was thinking about the question so much that I cannot directly answer to that what you said just now, but I listened to you. The question is decolonial.
Sorry. Would you talk about decolonial taste, or would you call the cooking practice from your perspective like decolonial cooking practice, or would you rather not?
So I'm shipping away from your question, because I'm thinking a lot about internalized racism and internalized colonialism. And like, as you said also, actually like this taking up Western customs to feel maybe better. And when I imagine that I have internalized all these colonial notions about what is superior culture and what is like lower culture, and growing up in Germany as a non-white, non-European subject, you are surrounded with the whole society which tells you you're not enough, you are strange, your food smells strange, you look strange, like you grow up with this, and then one day you wake up and you believe it. And what I think could be seen as maybe something like decolonizing is that we as these young subjects or second generation, when we start to question all these norms that are pressed on us, and when we start to embrace the garlic or the fish sauce and maybe don't shower 5 times and don't eat like 5 chewing gums, but just go out and okay, I just ate and it was delicious and it nourished me and I'm healthy and I'm fine. Like this could be a kind of little decolonial practice for yourself, or maybe not feel ashamed to cook this food. And at the same time, I'm really like careful to use the word decolonial because I don't even know like what it could mean here and now, but thinking about like having a colonized mind and then a little bit decolonizing yourself, this would be like one answer. And the other one was that I named a talk, I called it Chilies as Protest, Autoethnographic Musings on My Mom's Decolonial. Actually, there's a question mark. I don't like the word, but I use it. Cooking practices. And the story behind this is I already started and told you that when I was small, I wanted to be a German, I wanted to be white, and I thought like eating my mom's food would make me less white and would make me very strange, and like everybody told me, and I thought if I don't eat it, but I eat something else, like German spaghetti, like I was thinking this is German, this is normal, everybody's eating it. If I eat this, then I will be, I will be part of society. And then I was thinking about my mom and her job and her being socialized in a country that has been culturally dominated for so many centuries, and being told that their way of life is wrong and that they have to be Western. And then everything changes, the food, the clothes. But Goa is not a copy of Portugal. So there's like this really interesting mix of taking the spices which they brought from somewhere else, using them, and then making something own and not separating it from your food or your diet. So people eat pork, people eat fish, people eat meat in general, and not like maybe before. And this is like kind of resistant move, I guess. Like, because when I think of resistance or political issues, it's actually in the everyday where I'm looking. I'm not looking at the protest, march or so, but what's happening on the ground. And then, like, she comes from a place where she was told, like, centuries and my ancestors, everything is wrong about you. Then she comes to Germany, and then there are, like, these 3 children who tell you your food is wrong. And then thinking, yeah, okay, if you want me to cook German spaghetti and pizza, I will get my Magifix packet, and I will put my green chilies inside. And this, like, I was thinking about if this could be like a decolonial cooking practice, like not getting yourself erased, not submitting yourself to the norms. And in the end, actually, we love her food, and we ourselves use chilies and cook it. And so this would be my answer. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Noi, what would you say to that? Like about Thai Park's cooking practices, would you call them decolonial, or would you call it differently? Is it? That's exactly. I'm asking this question because nowadays, since the government also decided to put, German's colonial past and engaging with German's colonial past on the agenda in 2018 officially. There are a lot of programs, fundings, projects containing this word decolonial, and it's used a lot. And yeah, I'm just interested in if it would apply, from your perspective, if it would apply to the practices of Thai Park.
I think the practice of Thai Park, how our vendors prepare their ingredients or where they go and get ingredients. I would say I admire them a lot. They're very intelligent and very practical in a way, where they can get the cheapest and the best ingredients, especially those from Asia and from Thailand. And they know, and they told each other, if you want to buy that, go to Dong Song Center. If you want to buy that, go to Vin Loi. If you want to buy that, go to this street. It's very practical and very economic oriented. Nothing to do with colony, I would say. Really, it's more they're very practical and very much able to adapt to environment, and they want to sell good food and make good profit. So I see like that, but also don't want to compromise with the quality as well, because if the food seems to be too expensive and the portion is too small, we even complain to each other. I think your portion is too small. Don't do that. Don't not betray the customer, but give them the fair price and the fair service. You can't demand the price like in the restaurant, something like that. Probably it's Western economic principle. We think about it. Maybe some part of it's also a colony. So I don't know. Yeah.
Just to add a little bit, but I think the act of, you mentioned it before, that you want to just stay there and sell food illegally, and I think that is such a strong resistance strategies as well, since food is a basic principle. Everybody needs to eat, and how can you arrest people by eating food, and just the food is a bit smelly. And it's also smelly is subjective. So I would say the way Thai Park selling food by itself is very, very resistant, and it's also another example that food can be the tools to fight with the authority, right?
Yeah, thank you. I would also agree with you, Mon. I also, while you were all talking, I wrote down digestible food equals integrated people, ? Digestible food or legal selling or too big of a crowd to control. In Germany, everything has to be really measured and in order. And I think then they feel that they have they know what's going on. And I think everything that subverts this practice is a resistant practice as well, yeah. I would like to leave time for the audience to discuss and to eat again, but I still have maybe two minor questions for all of you, because you all already answered the individual questions I had for you. So I am asking a collective one. You all were, especially you two, were talking about how these stereotypes, in these internalized stereotypes, were shaping your way of thinking or to question even yourself and your role. And now I think some of us were born and grew up in a time where it wasn't as normalized as now to eat all kinds of different foods from all over the world. Many of us grew up in times where basically everything that smelled a little different or tasted a little different was something to marginalize people for or to exclude them. And now there's a lot of appropriation and a lot of changing of the food of dominant discourses and dominant groups. What would you say? Is there a way to prevent this kind of appropriation? Like, for example, hipster cafes selling very, very expensive kimchi and all of these things. Are there ways to prevent this appropriation? You can think.
I actually don't have an answer for this because who would prevent it? Who would forbid it? like you could boycott it. Or you could say, yeah, I'm not eating there, but I think what would be really important is that people like the Thai Park initiative, that they can stay. And not like, oh, okay, my recipes are robbed, I am robbed of my selling space, and you can get rich with it. So I don't know if it's a good idea, like to say no, you can't do this, but maybe build structures for people like to exist, and because this selling and it's like it's. Families who live from the restaurants, and if people then start to and it's happening, the people that say, oh, this is like, we sell the clean Indian food and don't go to the Indian restaurant because it's like all these colonial stereotypes, but we are like white European people and we make it more healthy, we change the oil, and I don't know, like it's also the consumers, I guess, like that you don't buy into these century-old lies about the other, and maybe also this self-reflection of the people who get really rich with appropriated food. Like they should also maybe think about it, but you cannot, like, in this capitalist society, and it's also so free, and what is actually like Indian food, what is authentic, it's like all a construct in the end, and at the same time there are people getting rich and people are getting marginalized. And I have been to Vilnius some weeks ago, and I was really, really confused. I wanted to eat South Asian food. I will not say Indian because I don't know what that is. And there were only white people from Lithuania selling the food and waiting and like being the waiters. And it was, once I had to take off my shoes, and there was like, it was so strange, and it was like, actually it was not an Indian restaurant, it was like Thai, this, that, and it was really expensive, and it was like really messy experience for me to be there, be told what is Indian, to be shown everything, but there's no like South Asian body but mine, and it's like, and if like it's like the horror scenario for here, if this appropriation process is so dominant, maybe we can like go to these restaurants, but we won't find the people anymore because we kick them away, and that's really problematic. So everybody should think about, okay, where am I eating and how much am I ready to pay, and for whom would I pay a bigger portion, or like what do I expect from the people? Yeah.
It actually is something that I also question myself a lot. The questions about like appropriation, which I think like you answer it very well. But you mentioned about like sometimes the restaurant would position themselves of like being authentic, or this is the healthier way, something like that. And I think that's also the case of like, yeah, and that's also the case of one restaurant in the US, I think, that they would bring street food to serve in restaurant, and they said like it's the cleaner version or something like that. I feel like maybe I don't have the problem about the authenticity of the food itself, but yeah, maybe back to what you said is the choice of the customer, of why would you say yes to it. If you agree with that, then yeah, I don't know. I think like I don't mind, and like for example in Germany I would go to Thai restaurant that's owned by German people, I guess, but I think it's the position of the place itself, of how they yeah, how they portray it or what is their stance, basically.
I think the question I find quite abstract because for me, I'm not a person who can think in the way so much. Thinking about appropriation, probably I would say from my experience, what I feel annoyed when I go to the restaurant. Once they start telling, we sell Thai, Vietnamese, and sushi, you know. If they combine three things in one restaurant, so, okay. If I don't have choice, I won't go there. I said, it's run by someone else who probably have a little bit of idea of the three food. But I don't know, probably personally, I learned cooking here because we didn't have to cook so much in Thailand. It's so cheap, you can eat everywhere. But here, if you want to eat Thai food, you can go once in a while or not often to a restaurant. Then you start cooking. So once I start cooking, I know I try how to cook to get the taste that I got in Thailand. So I have my own standard. So I'm very picky with Thai food, I would say, but any other food. So I think I'm quite open-minded for that. So I'm not answering your question. I'm sorry.
You did? I mean, like you said.
Okay.
At least I heard an answer. So maybe as some closing words, thank you so much for this interesting conversation. And thank you so much for cooking and being with us and letting us eat. We will continue to eat. Yeah. Thanks so much, and yeah, I hope you had a nice evening, and you can still talk to the panelists if you want to. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the panelists and to the cooks from Thai Park. I just wanted to invite you to the next session, which is already like in 2 weeks. And we will return to our focus on museum and art history. And this session will be on June 11th. And it's about dislocation, liminality, and resilience, the case of Ukraine. We will speak about museums and museums politics in relations between Russia and Ukraine. And on the panel, we will have our research associate at TU Berlin and deputy director of the Kanenko Museum in Kiev, Hanna Rudik, Maria Selina, a research fellow at Ruhr-Universität Bochum, and a Ukrainian artist, Katerina Lizovenko. And the whole panel will be moderated by Laura Rosengarten, who is a doctoral candidate here at the TU, but also at the University of Leipzig. So if you are interested in the topic, please do come. And for now, stay, have some of food and drink, and get into conversation with each other. Thank you.